My beloved child, slow down for a moment. Before you continue with everything waiting for you, before you answer another message, before you carry another responsibility, before you pretend that you are stronger than you feel today, stay here with me. There is something I want you to understand. I heard the prayer you were too tired to finish. I heard the words you could not find. I heard the sentence that stopped halfway through your tears. I heard the prayer that began with hope but ended only in silence. You thought you had failed to pray because you could not finish what was in your heart. But my child, you do not have to find perfect words for me to understand you. I already know. I know what you were trying to say. I know what you meant when you whispered, "Lord, please." And then you could say nothing more. I know the moment you put your head down because your mind had become too heavy. I know the night when you wanted to pray, but exhaustion overtook you. I know the morning when you woke up carrying the same burden you had asked me to remove the night before. And I know how confusing it has been for you. You have wondered, God, did you hear me? Did you see those tears? Did you notice how hard I tried? Did you understand what I was asking? Yes, my child, I heard you. Not only the prayer that came from your mouth. I heard the prayer that came from the deepest place inside you. There are prayers that are spoken with lips. And there are prayers that are spoken with a broken heart. There are prayers that are long. And there are prayers that are nothing more than a sigh. There are prayers that sound confident. And there are prayers that sound like, God, I don't know what to do anymore. I heard every one of them. You may have thought your silence meant that heaven had become silent too. But silence does not mean absence. You may not have heard an answer yet. That does not mean I stopped working. You may not see movement. That does not mean nothing is happening. There are things I have been arranging that you cannot see. There are doors I have been preparing before you even knew you would need them. There are people I have been moving into position. There are things I have been protecting you from that you will never know about. And there are answers that require preparation before they can safely enter your life. So do not confuse my silence with my absence. I was there when you cried. I was there when you wiped your own tears because nobody else noticed. I was there when you smiled in front of people while carrying something heavy inside. I was there when you encouraged everyone else while secretly wondering who would encourage you. I was there when you prayed for your family. I was there when you prayed for your future. I was there when you asked me to make a way where you could not see one. And my child, I was there when you became too tired to say the rest. You thought the unfinished prayer was a failure. But I saw it differently. I saw a child who had reached the end of human strength and was finally learning that my strength does not end where yours does. You don't have to impress me. You don't have to perform for me. You don't have to speak beautiful words. Come to me exactly as you are. If all you have today is one sentence, give me that sentence. If all you have is a whisper, give me the whisper. If all you have is a tear, let that tear become your prayer. If all you can say is, Jesus, help me, then say it, and then rest, because I am not measuring the length of your prayer. I am looking at the heart behind it. You have been trying so hard to hold everything together. You have been carrying things you were never designed to carry alone. You have been thinking about tomorrow before today has even finished. You have been replaying conversations. You have been imagining problems that have not happened. You have been wondering how the bills will be paid, how the family situation will change, how the relationship will be restored, how your dream will ever come to pass, how your life can possibly look different when every day seems to bring another reason to worry. And sometimes you come before me with all of those thoughts. You begin to pray, but your mind becomes exhausted. Your words disappear, and eventually you simply sit there. My beloved child, I am still with you in that silence. You don't have to run away from me because you couldn't finish the prayer. Stay, breathe, be still. Let your heart rest in my presence. Remember what my word says. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. You do not have to carry tomorrow tonight. You do not have to solve next year's problems today. You do not have to know every step before you take the next one. I am asking you for something much simpler. Trust me with the next step. You want me to show you the entire road. But sometimes I give you enough light for only the step in front of you. Why? Because if you could see everything at once, you might become overwhelmed by the distance. So I give you today, then tomorrow, then the next day, and every morning my mercy meets you there. You have been asking me, where are you taking me? But perhaps the better question is, will I trust you while I cannot see? That is where your faith is growing. Faith does not always grow when everything makes sense. Sometimes faith grows in the unanswered question. Sometimes faith grows in the waiting room. Sometimes faith grows when you have prayed the same prayer for so long that you no longer know what else to say. And perhaps you are in that place right now. Perhaps you have prayed about the same situation so many times that you are embarrassed to bring it before me again. You think, maybe God is tired of hearing this. No, my child, I am not tired of hearing you. Bring it again. Bring me the same burdens. Bring me the same fear. Bring me the same dream. Bring me the same family member. Bring me the same impossible situation. Not because I have forgotten, but because prayer is not only about changing circumstances. Prayer is also where I change the heart that is walking through those circumstances. There was a night when Jesus entered the garden carrying an agony that words could barely contain. He prayed. He surrendered. He returned to prayer. And in that place of deep sorrow, the Father was not absent. The garden looked like defeat, but heaven was not finished. The cross looked like the end, but resurrection was already ahead. And I want you to remember this when your life looks like a garden of unanswered prayers. You do not know what I am preparing beyond the place where you are standing. You see the night. I see the morning. You see the closed door. I see what is beyond it. You see the delay. I see the preparation. You see the unanswered question. I see the purpose that has not yet been revealed. You see the empty place. I see what can grow there. So don't give up simply because you cannot see the result yet. Your prayer has not disappeared. Your tears have not disappeared. Your waiting has not been meaningless. I have seen every moment when you chose not to give up. I saw you get back up when you wanted to stay down. I saw you continue when nobody applauded you. I saw you forgive when your heart wanted revenge. I saw you keep believing when circumstances gave you every reason to doubt. And I saw the nights when you whispered, God, I still trust you, even though part of you was afraid. That small sentence mattered. That tiny act of faith mattered. You may call it weakness. I call it endurance. You may think your faith is too small, but you are still here. You are still seeking me. You are still listening. You are still hoping. And that means the story is not finished. My child, there is something else you must stop doing. Stop rewriting the prayer because you are afraid that I did not like the first version. You don't have to make your pain sound beautiful. Tell me the truth. Tell me when you are angry. Tell me when you are confused. Tell me when you are disappointed. Tell me when you don't understand why I allowed something to happen. Tell me when you are afraid. I already know. You are not protecting me from your emotions. You are only exhausting yourself by hiding them. David cried out. Job questioned. Jeremiah wept. Peter failed. Thomas doubted. Yet my purpose was not finished with them. Your weakness does not surprise me. Your tears do not fright me. Your questions do not make me abandon you. Come closer, not farther away. When you cannot pray, sit with me. When you cannot sing, breathe. When you cannot understand, trust. When you cannot see the road, take the next faithful step. And when you cannot finish the prayer, let me finish it with you. Because there are moments when the most powerful prayer you can offer is not a speech. It is surrender. It is placing your exhausted heart into my hands and saying, Father, I don't know how to carry this anymore. So I give it to you. And my child, that is not giving up. That is learning to let me carry you. You have spent so long trying to carry yourself. You have convinced yourself that needing help means you are weak. But look at the shepherd who carries the sheep. Look at the father who runs toward the returning child. Look at the Savior who invites the weary to come. You were never asked to prove that you could survive without me. You were created to walk with me. So tonight or whenever you hear these words, release what you have been holding. Release the conversation you keep replaying. Release the person you cannot control. Release the future you cannot predict. Release the outcome you have been trying to force. Release the prayer you have repeated until you have no strength left. Put it in my hands, and then listen, because perhaps you have been so focused on getting me to answer that you have forgotten to become still enough to hear me. I have been whispering beneath the noise. I have been reminding you that you are not alone. I have been calling you back to peace. I have been teaching you that my timing is not punishment. And I have been preparing you for something you cannot yet see. So don't leave this moment too quickly. There is more I want to tell you. Because the prayer you thought ended in silence may have only been the beginning of what I am about to reveal to you. My beloved child, stay with me a little longer. Because there is a reason you were brought to this moment. You may think you simply found another message. You may think these words are only something to listen to while you rest. But I want you to understand something deeper. I know the season you are walking through. I know how many times you have told yourself, tomorrow will be better. And then tomorrow arrived carrying another burden. I know how many mornings you woke up hoping something would finally change. I know how many nights you went to sleep asking me for an answer. And perhaps the hardest part has not been the problem itself. Perhaps the hardest part has been not knowing when it will end. You can endure difficult circumstances for a while, but uncertainty can exhaust the soul. Not knowing, waiting, wondering, asking yourself whether the thing you have prayed for will ever happen. And this is where I want to meet you. Not only at the destination. I want to meet you in the waitings. You have been measuring my faithfulness by what has already changed. But my child, sometimes my faithfulness is revealed by what I have kept from changing. There were things you wanted that I did not allow. There were doors you wanted opened that I kept closed. There were relationships you begged me to preserve that eventually fell apart. There were opportunities you thought were your breakthrough, but they disappeared. And you wondered why. You thought, God, if you love me, why didn't you let this happen? But you could not see what I could see. You saw the opportunity. I saw the trap. You saw the relationship. I saw the wound it would have created. You saw the door. I saw what was waiting behind it. You saw the immediate answer. I saw the consequences of that answer 10 years from now. My child, my no has sometimes been protection disguised as disappointment. And I know that is difficult for you to understand. Because when you are hurting, protection does not always feel like protection. Sometimes it feels like rejection. Sometimes it feels like abandonment. Sometimes it feels like I forgot you. But I did not forget you. I was guarding a future you could not yet see. Think about Joseph. He could not understand the pits. He could not understand the betrayal. He could not understand the prison. Imagine praying for freedom while sitting behind those walls. Imagine asking, God, where are you? And hearing nothing that made sense. But the prison was not the end of Joseph's story. The pit was not the end. The betrayal was not the end. The waiting was not the end. I was moving through every chapter. And one day Joseph could look backward and understand what he could never understand while he was inside it. My child, you are still inside some chapters. That is why you cannot understand everything yet. You are trying to interpret the whole story from one page. You are looking at one painful paragraph and saying, God, this cannot be the story you promised me. But I am not finished writing. Do not judge the ending by the middle. Do not call the story over because the current chapter hurts. There are pages you have not seen. There are answers you have not received. There are moments ahead that will make you understand why you had to keep walking. And I know you want proofs. You want something you can hold. You want a sign. You want to wake up one morning and suddenly everything is different. But sometimes the first miracle is not that the mountain moves. Sometimes the first miracle is that you receive strength to stand in front of it without running away. You have been asking me to remove the storm. And I have been teaching you that you can have peace even while the storm is still there. Remember the disciples in the boat. The waves were rising. The wind was violent. The boat was being covered with water. And Jesus was there. Yet they were afraid. They looked at the storm and forgot who was in the boat with them. My child, how many times have you done the same? You looked at the bill and forgot who provides. You looked at the diagnosis and forgot who gives strength. You looked at the empty calendar and forgot who can create opportunities. You looked at the broken relationship and forgot who can heal hearts. You looked at the uncertainty of tomorrow and forgot who already exists in tomorrow. You have been staring at the waves. Look again at who is in the boat. I have not left. I have not abandoned you. I am not watching your struggle from a distant place. I am with you. And when I am with you, the storm does not get the final word. My child, there is another reason you became so tired. You have been trying to control what belongs to me. You keep asking yourself, how will this happen? When will this happen? Who will make it happen? What if it doesn't happen? And every question creates another weight. You were never designed to carry all those possibilities. There is a difference between responsibility and control. You are responsible for obedience. You are responsible for faithfulness. You are responsible for taking the next step. But the outcome belongs to me. You cannot control another person's heart. You cannot control tomorrow. You cannot control what people say about you. You cannot control every circumstance. You cannot control how quickly a door opens. But you can choose trust. You can choose obedience. You can choose forgiveness. You can choose to keep walking. And you can choose to place the outcome into my hands. That is where your peace begins. Because peace does not come from knowing exactly what will happen. Peace comes from knowing who holds what will happen. You have been asking me for certainty. I am teaching you trust. You have been asking me for a map. I am teaching you to follow my voice. You have been asking me to show you the entire staircase. I am asking you to take the next step. And I know you are tired. I know you have taken many steps already. Some of them were painful. Some of them were lonely. Some of them were taken while you were crying. Some were taken without anyone understanding why you continued. But every faithful step mattered. Even the ones that seemed insignificant. Even the days when all you accomplished was getting out of bed and refusing to surrender your hope. Even the days when your prayer was only, God, please help me get through today. I heard that prayers. Do not despise small prayers. Do not think heaven only listens when you speak for 30 minutes. Sometimes one sentence carries the weight of an entire heart. Peter once cried out with only a few words when he was sinking. Lord, save me. That was enough. Jesus did not say, come back when you have a better prayers. He reached out his hand. My child, when you are sinking, you do not need a perfect prayer. You need to reach for me, and I will meet you there. Perhaps you have been ashamed because your faith does not look like it used to. Perhaps there was a time when you prayed easily. A time when worship came naturally. A time when you felt full of hope. But now you feel different. Now you sometimes sit quietly and wonder where that fire went. Listen carefully. A tired heart is not a faithless heart. Sometimes the person who is still holding on with trembling hands has more faith than the person who speaks confidently without ever having been tested. You are allowed to be tired. Just don't turn your tiredness into a conclusion about me. Don't say, because I am tired, God must have left. No, rest in me. There is a difference between stopping and surrendering. Stopping says, I cannot continue. Surrender says, God, I cannot continue alone. And I can work with surrender. I can take the little strength you have and multiply it. I can take the smallest seed of faith and grow something you never imagined. You have been looking at how much faith you have. I want you to look at how faithful I am. Your faith changes. Your emotions change. Your circumstances change. Your strength changes. But I do not change. My promises do not become weaker because you had a difficult day. My love does not disappear because you question me. My presence does not vanish because you cried. My child, you are not loved only when you are strong. You are loved when you are exhausted. You are loved when you are confused. You are loved when you are afraid. You are loved when you don't know what to say. You are loved when all you can do is sit quietly in my presence. So stop trying to earn what I already gave you. You do not need to perform for my attention. You already have it. You do not need to compete for my love. You already have it. You do not need to shout loud enough for heaven to notice you. I already heard the quietest prayer of your heart. And there is something I want you to release today. The fear that your best days are behind you. You have looked at your past and seen what you lost. You have remembered opportunities. You have remembered people. You have remembered seasons when life felt easier. And sometimes you have secretly believed, maybe that was my chance. Maybe I missed it. Maybe my story has already passed me by. No, my child. Do not limit me by your calendars. Do not limit me by your age. Do not limit me by your past. Do not limit me by what other people have told you is possible. I am not finished. Abraham thought the promise was impossible because of his age. Moses thought his past disqualified him. David was overlooked by his own family. Ruth had experienced loss before she entered a new chapter. Esther could not see the purpose of her position until the moment came when her courage was needed. Again and again, I showed my people that the chapter they thought was insignificant could become the chapter that changed everything. And your current chapter may be doing the same. You think nothing is happening, but roots grow where nobody can see them. Seeds develop beneath the ground before anyone sees the tree. Dawn begins before the darkness realizes it is ending. And sometimes my work in your life begins beneath the surface. That is why you must not quit simply because you cannot see growth. You don't see everything I am doing. You only see what has reached the surface. But I see the roots. I see the foundation. I see the preparation. I see what is becoming strong beneath your circumstances. So keep praying, even if your prayer is short. Keep believing, even if your faith feels small. Keep walking, even if the road is unclear. And when you are too tired to finish the prayer, remember that I know the rest. I know what you wanted to say. I know what you were afraid to ask. I know what you secretly hoped for. I know the name you keep bringing before me. I know the dream you stopped talking about because disappointment became too painful. I know the promise you are afraid to believe again. And I know the part of your heart that says, Lord, I want to hope, but I don't want to be hurt again. My child, I understand, but don't let yesterday's disappointment become tomorrow's prison. You do not have to guarantee the outcome before you allow yourself to trust again. You only have to trust me. One day at a time. One prayer at a time. One step at a time. And perhaps today that is all I am asking from you. Not the entire journey. Just the next step. Because I am already waiting for you there. And there is something happening behind the scenes of your life that you have not yet recognized. Something connected to the very thing you have been praying about. Something that will teach you why the delay was not wasted. Something that will make you look back at this season differently. But before I reveal it, you must understand why I allowed you to become quiet. Because in the silence, I was teaching you to recognize my voice. And my child, what I am about to tell you about that silence may change the way you see this entire season of your life. My beloved child, listen carefully. I told you that I was teaching you to recognize my voice in the silence. Now I want you to understand why. You have lived in a world filled with noise. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an answer. Everyone is telling you what you should do, where you should go, what you should become, and what you should want. You hear voices from people around you. You hear voices from your past. You hear the voice of fear. You hear the voice of comparison. You hear the voice that tells you that you are behind. You hear the voice that says you should have accomplished more by now. You hear the voice that reminds you of every mistake you have ever made. And sometimes, my child, you have listened to all those voices so long that you have forgotten what peace sounds like. That is why I brought you into stillness. Not to punish you, not to abandon you, but to teach you the difference between noise and my voice. When everything around you becomes quiet, the things inside you begin to speak. And that can be uncomfortable, because suddenly you begin to notice fears you were distracting yourself from. You begin to notice wounds you were avoiding. You begin to realize how exhausted you actually are. But don't run from that realization. Bring it to me. The silence is not your enemy. It can become the place where healing begins. Remember Elijah. He expected to find me in the dramatic. He saw the wind. He saw the earthquake. He saw the fire. But I was not revealed to him in those things. Then came a gentle whisper, and Elijah recognized me. My child, sometimes you are searching for me in something spectacular, while I am speaking through something quiet. You are waiting for a miracle so dramatic that there can be no doubt. But perhaps I am already speaking through the small peace that keeps returning to your heart. Perhaps I am speaking through the scripture that suddenly feels personal. Perhaps I am speaking through the conviction that tells you to forgive. Perhaps I am speaking through the wisdom that says, wait. Perhaps I am speaking through the closed door you keep trying to reopen. Perhaps I am speaking through the desire to stop running and finally rest. Not every answer will arrive with thunder. Some answers arrive as peace. Some arrive as wisdom. Some arrive as patience. Some arrive as a change in your heart before anything around you changes. And that is why I want you to stop assuming that nothing is happening simply because nothing looks different. I may be changing you before I change your circumstances. You asked me to change the situation. I began by changing your perspective. You asked me to remove the burdens. I began by teaching you where to place it. You asked me to give you an answer. I began by teaching you how to trust me without one. You asked me to restore what was lost. I began by restoring the part of you that had been broken by losing it. Do you see it now? The answer has not always looked like what you expected. And that is why you almost missed it. You were looking for a door. I was building a foundation. You were looking for an immediate blessing. I was developing the character that could carry it. You were asking for a harvest. I was working on your roots. And roots are invisible. Nobody celebrates the root. Nobody sees it growing. Nobody stands around and says, look how beautifully the roots are developing. But without roots, the tree cannot survive the storm. My child, I have been strengthening things in you that nobody else can see. Your patience, your discernment, your endurance, your compassion, your ability to forgive, your ability to wait, your ability to trust when there is no evidence, your ability to remain kind when people have not been kind to you. These things may not feel like miracles, but they are, because the person you are becoming will be able to carry things the person you used to be could not. You have been asking, why is this taking so long? And perhaps part of the answer is, because I am preparing you for what you prayed for. You prayed for peace. So I had to teach you how to stop depending on circumstances for peace. You prayed for wisdom. So I allowed you to encounter situations where you could not rely on your own understanding. You prayed for stronger faiths. So I allowed you to walk through moments where faith was the only thing you had left. You prayed for courage. So I brought you to places where fear had to be confronted. My child, I am not wasting your season. Even this difficult season has been teaching you something. The tears have taught you compassion. The waiting has taught you patience. The disappointment has taught you discernment. The loneliness has taught you how to find me. The closed doors have taught you that not every opportunity is a blessing. And the unanswered prayers have taught you that my silence does not mean I have forgotten you. You thought the waiting was empty, but it was full. It was full of lessons, full of preparation, full of hidden growths, full of moments where I was quietly drawing you closer. And now I want you to stop calling yourself behind. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified because someone else arrived before you. Your journey is not supposed to look like theirs. You have been comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You see their harvest. You do not see their planting. You see their victory. You do not see their battles. You see their confidence. You do not see the nights they cried. You see the open door. You do not see the years they spent knocking. So stop measuring your life against someone else's visible moment. I am writing your story differently. And what I am doing in you may require a different timeline. You have been afraid that your opportunity has passed. But my child, I am not limited by your past. I can restore years. I can create new opportunities. I can redirect a life. I can bring purpose out of what looked wasted. I can take what was broken and teach you how to build again. I can take what was lost and use the loss to prepare you for something deeper. I can take the place where you thought your story ended and make it the place where a new chapter begins. But you must stop staring backward long enough to notice what is ahead. Some of you are still standing at the grave of something I have already asked you to release. You keep asking me to resurrect what I am asking you to bury. You keep asking me to reopen what I closed. You keep asking me to return people who were part of an old chapter. And I understand why. You remember the good moments. You remember what it felt like. You remember the dreams you had. But sometimes you are grieving not the person or situation itself. You are grieving the future you imagined with it. And I want to heal that grief. Because I have a future for you that does not require you to remain trapped in what I already allowed to end. My child, let go. Not because it didn't matter. It mattered. But because it is no longer where your life must remain. There are moments when faith means believing me for restoration. And there are moments when faith means believing me enough to release what cannot be restored in the way you wanted. Both require trust. And I know releasing is difficult. You have held on because you were afraid that if you let go, you would have nothing left. But I want you to discover something. When you release what you cannot control, you finally have room to receive what I am giving. Your hands cannot receive something new while they are tightly gripping yesterday. So open your hands. Open them slowly. You don't have to understand everything. Just release. Release the need to know exactly how. Release the need to know exactly when. Release the need to make everyone understand you. Release the need to prove yourself to people who have already decided what they think about you. Release the need to force an answer. Release the fear that if you stop controlling everything, everything will fall apart. My child, you are not holding your life together. I am. You think your constant worrying is protecting you. It isn't. Worry makes you rehearse pain that may never happen. Worry makes you live tomorrow's problems before tomorrow arrives. Worry convinces you that if you think about something enough, you can control it. But you cannot. So let me have tomorrow. You take today. That is enough. There is grace for today. There will be grace for tomorrow when tomorrow comes. You don't need tomorrow's grace today. And you don't need today's burdens tomorrow. Live where I have placed you. Right here. Right now. Breathe. You are still here. The story is still moving. Your heart is still beating. There is still purpose in you. There are still prayers that will become testimonies. There are still doors you have not seen. There are still people you have not met. There are still places you have not walked. There are still lessons you have not learned. There are still moments that will make you say, "Now I understand." So don't give up in the chapter before the revelation. Don't walk away 5 minutes before the answer. Don't abandon the seed because you cannot see the tree. Don't call the silence rejection. Don't call the delay denials. And don't call your exhaustion failure. Sometimes you are tired because you have been carrying something for too long. So put it down. Come to me. Let me carry what you cannot. You remember my invitation. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I did not say, come to me when you have everything figured out. I said, come when you are weary. That means your exhaustion is not a reason to stay away. It is a reason to come closer. So come, bring your unfinished prayer. Bring the words you couldn't say. Bring the tears you couldn't explain. Bring the fear you don't want anyone else to know about. Bring the dream you are afraid to hope for again. Bring the name of the person who still needs healing. Bring the situation that looks impossible. Bring everything. You don't have to organize it first. You don't have to make it presentable. Just bring it, and then sit with me. Because I am not asking you to solve your life before you enter my presence. I am asking you to enter my presence so I can teach you how to live it. My child, there is a prayer you have been afraid to pray again. You know the ones. The prayer that once carried excitement. The prayer you repeated when you believed something would change quickly. But after enough disappointment, you stopped asking. You said, maybe I shouldn't hope for that anymore. You buried the desire because you were afraid of being disappointed again. But I know it is still there. You may have stopped saying it out loud. You may have convinced yourself that you no longer care. But I know your hearts. And I am not asking you to force yourself to believe that everything will happen exactly as you imagined. I am asking you to trust me with the desire itself. Give me the dream. Give me the outcomes. Give me the timelines. Give me the possibility. And say, Father, if this is for me, lead me to it. If it is not, give me peace to release it. But don't let fear decide my future. That is a prayer I can work with. Because now you are not trying to control me. You are trusting me. And trust opens a different kind of relationship. You stop treating prayer like a transaction. You stop saying, if I pray enough, God must give me what I want. Instead, you begin saying, God, I trust you even when the answer looks different. And that is where your faith becomes deeper than circumstances. My child, I want your relationship with me to become stronger than your relationship with the answer. Because if your peace depends entirely on receiving what you asked for, then the moment the answer is delayed, your peace disappears. But when your peace is rooted in me, you can wait. You can cry and still trust. You can hurt and still worship. You can be disappointed and still remain faithful. You can say, I don't understand you right now, but I know you love me. That kind of faith cannot be easily shaken. And perhaps that is what this season has been producing in you. Not a faith that says, everything will happen exactly the way I want, but a faith that says, whatever happens, God will not leave me. That is stronger. That is deeper. That is the faith I am building in you. And my beloved child, the prayer you thought I did not answer may have already begun producing an answer in a place you cannot see. Something is moving. Something is being prepared. Something is being aligned. But before you see it with your eyes, I need you to believe with your heart that my silence was never emptiness. It was preparation. It was protection. It was transformation. And soon you will understand why I asked you to wait. Soon you will look back and realize that some of the things you begged me to give you would have destroyed the very future you were praying for. Soon you will understand why certain doors stayed closed. Soon you will recognize why certain people had to leave. Soon you will see why I did not answer the prayer in the way you demanded. And when that understanding comes, you will not say, God forgot me. You will say, God was protecting me when I thought he was ignoring me. So stay with me. There is still more. Because I want to take you into one of the most important lessons your waiting season has been trying to teach you. How to recognize the answer when it finally arrives. Because sometimes, my child, you have been praying for an answer for so long that you may not recognize it when it comes. And I need to prepare your heart for that moment.